Hey there, travel lovers. Is your trusted cruise and Tauck tour expert Shawn Power here. I just wanted to have a little conversation with you today about my experience when I did my Tauck Iceland cruise. It is a cruise I get asked about a lot. A lot of people contact me on my site. A lot of people find me on Google searches when they're looking for reviews and they come across my blog review, my post that I put online. So I just wanted to do a little video today just to talk about that cruise because I know it's one that a lot of people are interested in, and just talk about maybe some of the highlights that I saw, maybe some of the, I'll give you some pros, maybe some cons of the trip, and even a few tips. So, first off, I gotta say it was an absolutely fabulous cruise. So again, we're talking about Tauck's small ship cruise in Iceland. Right away I can tell you it's a super scenic country. It's basically one big volcano, which might sound scary, but really they have I think when obviously there was days they had like 2,000 earthquakes. So a lot of this you don't see, you don't feel, but just so unique. But the point is, imagine kind of being on one big volcano, how good the scenery must be, some of the mountain ranges, some of the jagged rocks, some of the, some of the different flora and fauna you see. It's absolutely fabulous. The people were so friendly there. And that makes sense to me. And, these days I live out in the Vancouver, Canada area, but I grew up in a small island called Newfoundland on the east coast of Canada. And, being from a small place, people were really friendly. They talk to anyone. They, doors would be unlocked. They'd invite anyone in for a cup of tea or a bite to eat. And Iceland, to me, still had that feel in a lot of ways. When we went some of the small places, it was unbelievable how people would just talk to us and, say hello out of the blue. And really, really cool to get around that kind of friendly atmosphere again, which, we kind of lost a little bit in the big cities. What else? Again, going to things like the Blue Lagoon. What a highlight that was. I'll talk about that more in a minute. Some of the other geothermal baths, waterfalls. There's a lot of waterfalls in Iceland, some big waterfalls. So I got to see a lot of those. We cruised past the Arctic Circle was a highlight. Saw some unique animals like the Arctic fox, puffins. We went to a shark museum, got to try shark meat. We went to some small fishing villages. And then we did Iceland's iconic golden circle, which, is something that you definitely want to do when you're in the area. So really it was, like I said, there were so many highlights when I did this Tauck, small ship cruise in Iceland. Now, some of the pros about going with Tauck on this trip, it is a small ship. We're talking, they do these trips on a French company called Ponant. Now, there's reasons why I absolutely do not recommend going with Ponant directly. Maybe you can message me if you want to know more, or hopefully, maybe down the road I'll be able to do a video. I'm not going to talk about that now, but I went with Tauck, who charters space on Ponant. And in this case, we had the whole ship. So very small ship, about 200 people. Might be a few less, few more, but right around 200. So great size. Even if you go on a luxury company like Regent or Silver Sea or Seabourn, there's still going to be hundreds of more people on board. So if you like small, it was perfect for that. So absolutely no crowds at all. You didn't have the same security protocols getting on and off. Very simple. It's about as easy as you can do it when you're in this area. What else is a pro when you go with Tauck? It's absolutely all-inclusive. So for one, if you book properly, you will get a free night, a free pre-cruise night in Reykjavik. So if you're a past guest, that just means you have to book by a certain time, typically by July 31st this year to get a free room next year. Again, I can explain more of that if you just shoot me a message, or again, I'll try to get into that in another video. Or if you're not a past guest and you work with an agent like myself who does a ton of Tauck business, or hopefully your travel agent does, you should be able to get a free night. That way I can always get my new clients to Tauck a free night, no problem at all. What else? On board, all the drinks were included, alcohol, non-alcohol. Even you go up to the bar and we had Veuve Clicquot, because of course, again, Ponant is French, so drinking champagne is a must when you're enjoying your vacation. All the meals were included, the Wi-Fi was included, and the highlight with Tauck is all the tours are included. And when I say all of them, I really do mean all of them. Now, again, I sell a lot of Regent, a lot of Silver Sea as an example. I have a lot of clients who go with them, but more and more than ever these days, even though those companies include a lot of excursions, they're charging, for more than ever. So it used to be like 80% of Regent and Silver Seas excursions were included in the price. Now I find it's like maybe 50% if you're lucky, some sailings even less. So you are paying more and more. But with Tauck, there's no extra charges. If you need to see something, they're going to include it. They have no optional tours they can sell you, so you don't need to worry about feeling nickel and dime after you book the trip with them. And again, all the highlights I mentioned up top, from the Blue Lagoon to the going above the Arctic Circle to the waterfalls, you can even do some little hikes and everything. Again, all included. So that's a real highlight with Tauck is everything's included. Again, airport transfers, you name it, it's all in there. And I will, in the section below, I will put in a link to more info about Tauck small ship cruises, because I do talk a lot about all these inclusions. So if you want to know more, I'll put that link below for you. Also on board Tauck, they have a lot of guides. They actually call them Tauck directors. And these are not just guides who, are with Tauck one week and another company another week. Most of these people have worked with Tauck for at least 10 years, if not more. I've met Tauck directors who are around for 15, 20, 25 years. So very experienced people who really know the destinations you're going to, and they have a lot of them. So like when we had this 200-person ship chartered, there were 6 guides. There was a main one who stayed on the ship, and then the other 5 came off the ship on every tour. Now again, I talk about this in the links below. I won't get into it too much here, but the bottom line is when you have a guide from Tauck going with you on every tour, the tours run wonderfully. Yes, there's also a local guide, but because they know the Tauck people are kind of coming to be there to make sure everything goes well, you get great guides showing up locally, no problem with English. They're not playing on their cell phone, because they know that Tauck is kind of watching them in a way. And I've seen a lot of owners of the companies come do the tours with Tauck. So again, this is a real highlight, because even when I've been on some of the highest rated cruise lines in the world, from Regent to Seabourn to Silver Sea to Oceania, a lot of tours people still have issues with. And if it's the number one complaint that I've gotten from my clients on cruises is excursions that the cruise lines sell. Just after you come back from a port sometime, go to the front desk or where the excursions are, kind of stand by and be a fly on the wall. I guarantee you every time there'll be people come back complaining about excursions. That just doesn't happen with Tauck, because again, they have their guides going, which means the local guides are going to be really good at what they do. So again, real highlight. So again, having multiple guides on board is great with Tauck, because they come on the tours with you. And then also they're there throughout the cruise to answer questions, point you highlights when you're sailing. I mean, it just makes it that much better to have these, 5, 6 people who their only job is to make sure you're having a great time and you're getting as much info out of that trip that you want. So it really makes a difference. Tauck also has a lot of exclusive events that they do. And this is with their land tours, with their river cruises, with their small ship cruises. In Iceland, for example, the very first day, we went to the concert hall in Reykjavik, had this beautiful private lunch, champagne included, amazing meal. And this was like at noon. So think about this, on any cruise you've ever been on, have you ever done an excursion on the first day? Absolutely not is the answer, I'm sure. I've been on 88 cruises and I never have. And, Tauck right away at noon, we started, with a nice beautiful lunch. They took us on a tour of Reykjavik. They took us to the local, museum to learn more about the country. And then we boarded the ship. I mean, that's just unheard of with in the cruising industry. So Tauck will do some exclusive things like that. Another day we went to, it was like this tomato greenhouse, a fabulous, beautiful family-owned greenhouse. They have a restaurant there. We had an amazing lunch, and then have these beautiful horses out back where they put on this private horse show for just Tauck guests. So again, every Tauck trip you do, they're always going to do some exclusive events. Again, whether it's a Tauck land tour, a Tauck river cruise, a Tauck small ship cruise. So again, these highlights, these pros are just really, really special when it comes to traveling with Tauck. Now, when it comes to cons, I think earlier I mentioned the ship was really small. That's great for some people. A lot of people don't want crowds. They don't want a lot of people around. 200 people for them is perfect. But other people, they might want the nightlife. They might want the entertainment. But you're just not going to get that on a 200-person small ship cruise when you go with Tauck. So that could be a con for some people. The rooms aren't necessarily really big. Probably 85% of the rooms are right around 200 square feet. So that's pretty small when you look at the cruising industry. They all have, most of them have balconies. You can step outside, get the views. But only maybe, 30 of the rooms are suites. So you've got to book really early to get those. And if you like a big room, you might have trouble getting one, and you're never going to get these 2,000, 3,000, plus square foot rooms that you're going to get on the big ships like the Regents, the Silver Seas and stuff. So if that's important, it may not be for you. Also, if there happens to be motion, you can definitely feel it on a smaller ship. Now, don't get me wrong, if you're on Regent or Silver Sea or Seabourn on a 500, 600, 700 person ship, you're still going to feel motion if it's really choppy. But the point is, the smaller ship, the more you can feel. So again, if motion's an issue, we did have one day, but that was it. The rest of the days was really smooth. So again, something to think about. Wasn't a con for me after being on dozens and dozens of cruises. I just don't, feel it. It doesn't bother me. Some people it does. So something to think about. Another thing is, again, like on a 200-person ship, these are not super luxurious ships. Again, you don't have the big, huge suites. There's only one restaurant on board. Again, the rooms aren't huge. So if if a luxury cruise is important to you, this may not work for you. But again, when we were there, we were off the ship pretty much, every day, all day. We didn't do a lot of sailing during the day. A lot of it was at night. So the point was, it was all about seeing the destination, almost like a river cruise. During the day you see stuff, during the night you sail. So again, it's not a luxury experience on board. Where you got this big, beautiful spa and you can just chill out during the day and stuff. But again, it's more about the destination anyway. And then the other thing with Tauck, the other issue is that it sells out early. So like if you're, let's say it's 2026 in January and you decide, hey, I want to do a river an Iceland cruise this summer, you're probably not going to get it. They usually sell out a year and a half in advance. So if you're not the early booking type, if it makes you nervous to book early, this is probably not for you. So again, these aren't huge cons, but some I just like to point out. So, so I talked about the highlights, I talked about the pros, I talked about the cons. The last few things, how about a couple of tips? So one thing is, I remember on the very last day, it was a big long day. We were in the Reykjavik area. There was the Golden Circle tour that we did. And at the end, they gave us the option to do the Blue Lagoon. Now, I don't remember exactly, but it was, I don't know, like a 12 or 13 hour day if you did everything. And a lot of people skipped it because they just thought it was going to be too much. Do not skip the Blue Lagoon at the end of the day. For one, the day goes much faster than you realize because there's so many highlights. It's just one of those days where, it's kind of all fabulous, if you know what I mean. And then the Blue Lagoon is a highlight. It's kind of one of those iconic things in Iceland to do, so you just got to do it. So don't skip that. Another thing is, the cruise doesn't include any extra hotel nights at the beginning. So you've got to fly in early to Reykjavik just to spend a couple of days to actually see the town itself. I flew in a couple of days early. Now, again, if you book properly, if you're a past guest and you book far enough in advance, usually, again, by July 31st for the following year, you're going to get a free night from Tauck. If you're new to Tauck guests, I can get you a free night, or hopefully if you work with another travel agent, they do enough business to be able to do that as well. But the point is, get in at least a day early, really even 2 or 3, because you do want to spend a bit of time in Reykjavik checking it out. Like I went there and I did a food tour, for example. That was so interesting because they do have some different foods there. So I tried things that I never really tried in my life, and I get a real good taste for the culture by going on a food tour. But I only had time to do that because I flew in early. So again, that's just a couple of tips. So below, underneath this video, I will put in a link, a little bit more information to what Tauck small ship cruises are like. I'll also put in a link to all my pictures and videos from this Iceland cruise, so you can kind of see some of the sights and see I took videos of the rooms, I took pictures of the sites, I took pictures of the food. It'll give you more of a feel. And even below, I'll also put a link to my written review. So hopefully between this video and all that video and all that, all those links below, this will give you enough information to see if this Tauck small ship cruise in Iceland is going to work for you or not. Again, any questions, go ahead and click on my profile. You'll be able to go to my site and contact me through there, or just leave me a comment here if I can do anything to answer any more questions or help you out. So there you go. I hope that gave you some good information and helped you decide if this Tauck small ship cruise is for you. And hopefully we'll get a chance to see you again on the next video when we share some more great info about cruising and Tauck land tours.